everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul. We're coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast, where we discuss the ongoing lives and issues of people with developmental disabilities to spark positive change in the field.
And we have a lot of fun doing it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. Today we have special guest Megan O'Brien from Lutheran Home of Mercy. Megan, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And we're really excited to talk to you because, we have made it our mission to kind of learn more about the disabilities field and the people that work in it here, especially locally. And more so now we're growing outside of the bounds of, Northwest Ohio and beyond. So thanks for popping in. But Megan, how did you get started in this field? It's not a very common path for a lot of people.
Well, yes. And of course, my title is Director of Mission Advancement. And, when you are in first grade and dreaming about what you're going to be when you grow up, people don't typically think, boy, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be the Director of Mission Advancement for a nonprofit that serves people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Astronaut tends to kind of rate higher than that. One of the things that makes Lutheran Home of Mercy unique and special is that we are a faith-based nonprofit ministry. Although we welcome all walks of life, all faith communities are part of our ministry. We were really started by the Lutheran Church. And that story kind of overlaps with my personal story because I do happen to be Lutheran and was really kind of in high school thinking, where do I fit in that and wanting to do ministry and serve God. But instead of kind of having that be my own path, I ended up marrying a minister, my husband, Sean, 21 years ago, and I ended up going into the teaching field and did that for 7 years. And I liked it. And, I think I did all right at it, but it did not feel like my calling. I felt like there was something else that I was really meant to do. So I got a degree in school psychology and didn't get the follow-up degree to practice and was trying to make sense of things. And at the time, my husband was serving a congregation in the Dayton, Ohio area. And there was just a lot of conflict. And then 2009 happened and the economy of Dayton just completely tanked and we needed to get out. And we really wanted to stay in Dayton and we're looking around there for opportunities and kept trying to find that special place in Dayton that was meant for us to serve others. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time and we just could not find something that worked for us. And then my husband got a call from the Northwest Ohio Synod, which is kind of like the Lutheran Church governing body. And they're like, why don't you check out this congregation in Williston? So the first thing we had to do is look and see where Williston is on the map because, it's really only like 10 miles from Toledo, but people tend to think that Williston is like off of the face of the earth, present included. But we met with this congregation and it just really felt like where we were meant to be. And so, we were here for a couple of years and the only thing in Williston, it's a town of 200. You have to walk to the post office to get your mail. We came here. It was a big adjustment from Dayton. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. I did a lot of soul searching. I went back to parochial schools teaching in the Lutheran Church, but that didn't fit. So this job opening came up for a human resources assistant across the street at Lutheran Home of Mercy. And I'm like, I don't know anything about serving people with developmental disabilities, but why don't I just walk over there with my resume for this job? So I walked over there And it just so happened that our executive director emeritus, Pastor Don Wukatich, who's kind of a DD legend in this area, he happened to be in the front office seeing me hand in this application. And he doesn't really spend a lot of time in the front office, but that day he was there. And he asked me what I was doing. And I said, Pastor Don, I'm here to apply for this HR job. And he says, Megan, I don't think that job is for you. And I don't think that that's something that you should do. But I've been thinking about creating this new department here. Why don't you do that? And so he basically told our current president and CEO that we were going to be creating the mission advancement department now, and that she needed to interview Megan for that. And that's how I started here. And I really started the mission advancement department, which is kind of different than other places. Mission advancement departments, kind of a catch-all in a lot of ways, but that's what brought me here. And this is what I've been doing. Mission advancement is now in its 10th year here at Luther Home of Mercy. And this has truly been where I found my calling and where I feel that I'm supposed to be. And that's also really tied into a lot of the history of our organization as well.
Oh yeah, no, that's an awesome story. We love hearing those.
I was going to say bravo.
Yeah.
That like.
Well, thank you. Well, and then I guess kind of the cool other piece of this is that Luther Home of Mercy itself we're now in our 94th year of ministry, and we were started by the pastor of the congregation where my husband is currently serving.
Wow.
And it was started by that pastor 94 years ago because his wife was suffering with mental health issues in the 1920s. And she ended up having to be institutionalized in a local Toledo State hospital. And he saw firsthand what that kind of care was like in the 1920s, where people were really just given basic needs and, fed and clothed and sheltered in very overcrowded places. And he felt like there was more to offer people, and really wanted to base that on the care of the teachings of Jesus and give people the opportunity to live full lives. And so that was really his vision. And he really got people on board from the Lutheran churches to take that on. And lo and behold, she ended up passing away, and he went on to marry a school teacher locally. And she is really the person, Lillian then was the person who came to run the day-to-day operations of Luther Home of Mercy. So it all kind of comes circled back.
You guys have an awesome track history right there. Like, there's not very many places with a story of growth like that.
Yeah. And I know that was kind of like a very long story, but it's, to me, it fills my heart and brings me chills to feel like I am continuing a legacy, not just me personally, but that I play a part in that along with really hundreds and thousands of people. And if you really look at our history, if you go back to 1928 and look at who some of our board members are, those families are still committed and making donations and praying for us and sending letters and volunteering and working, and have family members 4 generations later who are working for us. So our history is just rich, and we feel so blessed to be able to keep doing this care and enrich the lives of people.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, speaking of that, what kind of services do you guys offer? I know that there's been many things that I've heard about, but for our viewers and listeners, can you break down what a day-to-day typically looks like?
Sure. So Luther Home of Mercy, we here in Williston, we are one of the largest intermediate care facilities in the state of Ohio. We are currently licensed for 90 to 93 beds, depending upon, that's one of those tricky things. We also have 20 community homes where we serve people. We do in-home supportive living services, and we operate 5-day programs in sites outside of Williston, and then one on site here for people who live here at Luther Home of Mercy. So that is really kind of the nuts and bolts of the care that we provide, is kind of, pretty typical of other providers in this area. We've been doing it, a long time, and we serve people in Ottawa, Wood, Lucas, and Sandusky counties.
Wow.
So if you are afraid to live, work, or drive in Williston or on that scary, part of East Toledo that nobody wants to work in, we can set you up in other places. And we do serve people really just kind of all over. And, I could talk all day really just about the different things that we do at different places, because we've just got like pockets of activity going on everywhere in all those places.
What about the staffing crisis or / emergency? Now, I am no stranger to it. The majority of the people that we interview in our podcast, they're no stranger to it. How are you guys holding on and handling it?
It's rough. We're dealing with the same thing that everybody else is. I think a challenge that is unique to Luther Home of Mercy is the fact that we are rural. And so 94 years ago, people would move here and live on site. I personally know someone who in the 1940s read an ad about us in a Lutheran magazine in, I think it was in Iowa. And she hopped on a train to move here and live here and serve our residents in the 40s. So people don't hop on trains from Iowa anymore to work in this environment. I don't know why, but that's not the case. So, the convincing people to drive to Williston thing is hard, but like everybody else, we're doing everything we can and trying to think outside the box. We've continued to raise our wages, starting base rate without weekend differentials and the year of experience incentive and all of that is $14 an hour to stay, competitive in our field. We've got the ERN going on. One of the unique things about Luther Home of Mercy that I think makes us special and also really has made us resilient is the fact that we are under the umbrella of Lutheran Ministries of Mercy, which is kind of an executive company that was established in 2012 by Luther Home of Mercy, Filling Homes of Napoleon, and Lutheran, and then we joined in 2012, and then Lutheran Social Services of Northwest Ohio joined us, and I think it was 2013, 2014. And we're still 3 completely separate organizations with 3 separate foundations, but we've been able to share things when it makes sense to save money and strengthen our ministries. So, for example, we share a president and CEO. We share an IT department. We try to bulk buy to save money when we can. If it makes sense for 2 of us to get a combined benefits packet, but not the third, we go that route. And that's also helped us to save on costs that we're able to then give back to our employees in other ways and incentivize. But it's also been enabled us to give some unique incentives. So, for example, Lutheran Social Services of Northwest Ohio has a very strong counseling program. And so we offer 7 free counseling sessions to our staff. We have our ERN is through Lutheran Social Services. So we're really just trying to connect in as many ways as we can to continue to provide that great care.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we're always trying to do is to get people, maybe who would never be interested in working in this field, kind of some maybe advice or pointers as to why, it's a great place to work. And you've already provided a few, but if you had to give some advice to someone who wanted to get started in the disabilities field, like what would you say to them? Because it's like, in the general scheme of things, people don't see it as like a career that they would just, like you said, want to just get into in high school. It's not like an astronaut or something. So do you have any advice that you would offer to them?
Well, I don't know that I can speak for others, but I think the thing that I have found for me is that Luther Home of Mercy and this field, this is not my job. This is my passion. And I think, a lot of people may try this field and find that it's not for them, and that's okay. I think it's great that people are willing to try. And I think my advice would just really be to be open to what is possible within yourself and within others. There are things that I did not think I could do to care for people who had intellectual and developmental disabilities 10 years ago, and things that kind of shocked me at first that now it's just another day in paradise, but there is just so much love to give and so much love to be had. And so I think to really make it in this field, you have to be open to that.
Yeah, great answer. And it's always interesting to get people's perspectives on things that you'd like to see change in the disabilities field, because, it's come a long ways since it was first started. And whenever that started it kind of just organically grew. But are there any things that you'd like to see maybe changed overall, not just specifically at, Luther Home, but anywhere nationwide, globally, anything like that?
I would like to see, I think, frontline staff, direct support professionals are undervalued in our society. And I think that is something that, we are, in the field are really trying to change, but certainly that, really lifting that up as a worthy, needed career path is something that I would like to see changed. And really, especially I think COVID really we were on a path where we were creating more and more opportunities for people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. And some of that has just had to be rolled back for many reasons. And now the staffing crisis has exacerbated that. So I would just really like to see that advanced. One of my kind of personal passion projects is transportation for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are in a very rural area, and so to get anywhere for us is an out-of-county trip for the people that we serve. And so really for the people that we serve, having access to transportation is a big deal. And I think it's a big deal for a lot of people. And so if I could really change anything else, it would just be making sure that people, you can put all the programs in place that you want to, but if you don't have a way to get people there, that's the first step. So I'm pretty passionate about just making sure that people have transportation access in addition to access to everything else.
That is a very good way of looking at it, because I also service in some rural areas, and goodness, it is it's quite a journey.
Yeah. Well, and there, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, with that being challenged, through the last couple of years, we've had to redevelop models, pretty much, ICFs and residential care and everything. It's always been one of my personal goals is to decrease the service hours needed for staffing, because we're teaching our individuals to be more independent and be self-sufficient. Have you noticed in the last couple of years, maybe any special stories of people that you just couldn't service the same, but you saw them gain more independence and maybe even, your expectations maybe have even been, just shot out of the water, like, whoa, this person has really grown a whole lot. You got any stories like that?
You caught me with a question that I don't know. I'm not sure that I know a particularly great answer to that question, Tony. We're really just trying to help people as much as we can in new and unique ways. And I don't know. I don't have a good story for that one.
No, it's perfectly fine. That actually shows my interviewing skills are getting better. If I can stump some people.
In 20 minutes from now, I will have a good answer to that question. But sitting here right now, off the top of my head, I've got hundreds of stories, but I don't have a good one for that question.
Well, give us another story that you have, something decent that's uplifting.
I think COVID has hit every place different at different times. When we were really one of the first places to have COVID. So as people were writing policies, we had COVID on our campus and we're trying to figure that out. And our staff has just done a phenomenal job with all of that. But last Christmas was really when we had the most people who were impacted by COVID, both staff and residents here at our ICF. And it was a pretty down time, but it's something that we made it through. And we're on the, in many ways on the other side of it, in some ways not. But last Christmas, I spent Christmas morning working in 2020 in one of our buildings. And it was a sad day. It was just a sad day. And I helped one of our residents, Nadine, open her gifts, and we were both just sad. And so this year we're both vaccinated, and I told Nadine that I would vow to come in and help her open her gifts this Christmas. We were going to kind of have a do-over. And so I live across the street. I told her I'd be here Christmas morning, 2021 at 11 a.m. I got here at 10:45 and she was waiting at the door for me. And so we opened her gifts together, and it was just a wonderful time. And she needs help opening presents. And so I was helping her open everything. And I was helping her with her inventory. And then we were kind of talking about what she got. And I said, Nadine, you got these really cool towels. You got this really cool Vince Gill CD and everything. And she grabbed my hand and she goes, and I have you. Oh. And, that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm here. I leave my family, my kids on Christmas morning to come because I'm here for Nadine, and I will be here for Nadine for a long time, and everybody that we serve. There's just so many stories like that.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear. And we're big on just getting awareness for the DD field in general. That's why we started this podcast. We're trying to get people, more aware of these issues, because we found that if it doesn't impact you or your family or your friends directly, people don't really put much thought into it. Do you have any maybe thoughts on how to bring more awareness to this field in general? Because it's just like so often swept under the table and people don't even realize that it's existing most of the time from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think podcasts like this are important. Just getting the word out there to everyone, is important. For Luther Home of Mercy specifically, a lot of the people who have supported us since day one are from congregations. And so making sure that they kind of understand the challenges that face us, because they don't necessarily, and learn why their partnership with us is still as important, if not more so, in 2022 as it was in 1928, is important. We are also members of the Lutheran Services in America and Lutheran Services in America Disability Network. So through that, we have a lobbyist that really works for us at the federal level to kind of bring awareness to the issues that we are facing. And so by joining with other Lutheran service organizations, we're able to have a larger voice. We're part of the Values and Faith Alliance here in Ohio. So that's where we really try to advocate at a state level. And then by joining as Lutheran Ministries of Mercy with Filling Homes and Lutheran Social Services, I think the more that, and even, by being on your podcast, the more that we really work together, strengthens the voice so that it cannot be ignored, because it can't. Something's got to change.
You're going to be on the front lines with our friend Sarah Milliman. She, you have a protest type of vibe to you. I think that you would be great to advocate and protest.
My mom used to make fun, when I was growing up, my mom used to call me Norma Ray because I could get on a soapbox about a lot of different things.
That's right.
That's awesome. But yeah, you raise a lot of really good points there. And, that's something Tony and I have talked about in the past, is how important it is to really advocate at a government level, because that's where the changes are going to be made, not only on the pay scales for DSPs and frontline workers and things like that, but also just awareness and more funding overall for disabilities organizations. So that's super important. But this is going to bring us to Tony and I's favorite part of the show. Tony.
Okay.
That is rapid fire.
All right, I'm ready.
You're familiar with our show? Rapid fire is where I ask you 3 questions in the would you rather scenario. The quicker you answer them, the better that it is, but it's also funnier. So good luck.
All right, I'm ready.
First one. Would you rather kiss your best friend's armpit or let a random person lick you?
Well, my best friend is my husband, so I would definitely have to go with I'd rather kiss his armpit. And also in the aid COVID, I know he's vaccinated. So.
Okay, good logic. Would you rather be able to disappear or be able to erase people's memories?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would say if I had to choose, I would say there are definitely some meetings and times if the disappearance would be kind of awesome. I do tend to put my foot in my mouth from time to time, those two. So memory erasing isn't bad also. Both have their valid points, but I would go with disappear.
There you go. I like it. I like it. Now, lastly, would you rather blindly touch things or blindly taste something?
Oh, neither. I have a really bad gag reflex. So that reason alone, I would go with touch stuff. Although I'm really freaked out by snakes. So if one of the things I was touching was a snake, then that would be disconcerting to me.
Great answers. Yeah, thank you. That was a good one. And before we wrap up here, we'd like to give you the opportunity to let people know where they can learn more about not only you, but Lutheran Home of Mercy. And, and then we will leave on any closing remarks that you might want people to know.
Sure. So, certainly visit our website, lutherhome.org. We are also on Facebook and Instagram and all that good jazz. Certainly, we have a lot of different locations throughout Toledo, at the Toledo area, in addition to Williston. And one of the cool ways that the general community can get involved with us at one of our day program centers is we also, it's at the former Advent Lutheran Church in Sylvania. We operate the Advent Lutheran Center. And so there, the individuals that we serve operate a personal needs pantry where, working with the Feed Your Neighbor program through Lutheran Social Services, the people that we serve are actually, the people who collect personal needs items and then distribute them to the Sylvania area. So certainly that's a great program to kind of get involved in if you have a need or would want to help kind of serve in that capacity.
Awesome. And thank you so much for coming on our podcast. And,
Thank you,
I wish we could have done this in person, but, with the way things are right now, I don't think it's the best option. But,
No.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, we will share this information with everyone, and all of the links that you just talked about we'll put down below in the show notes and everything. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was great to be here.